Welcome back to another episode of Automotivated. I am lucky enough to be here with Jesse Meddaugh, from founding partner of 360 Payment Solutions, a company that we're really proud to work alongside, with a lot of opportunities. So I appreciate you jumping on board with us today.
Happy to be here. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So one of the things that we've been talking about, as we're, looking at ways that not only Bolt-on and 360 payments work together, with text to pay, but really the whole concept around a fully integrated shop and how important this is, especially now in the change that we're seeing since COVID.
Totally. Yeah. Lots of our customers are moving off of the side terminal, just a terminal on the desk where they're running the credit cards and printing out receipts, to having some sort of integration. Payments is becoming a feature of a software in every different industry, and automotive's no different. So it really just helps, different businesses streamline the process, and the payment is just becoming a feature of the software that's running their business.
Absolutely. I mean, payment is an important process, and that's one of the areas that, especially with COVID, you start to see a big shift in, because people weren't as comfortable, especially earlier on, coming into shops. What does that mean for vehicle, for standard things that we ultimately took for granted, those conversations that we were having one-on-one. But has your team seen the customer behavior change since COVID? We've obviously seen big changes when COVID first started, but now, even what are you seeing now that's changed with the customer behavior?
Yeah, I mean, customers want just cleanliness now. Obviously, the COVID thing is a huge factor in that, and so just having a clean shop in general is a very important thing. And there's a lot of shops that had their waiting rooms closed, and couldn't have people come into the shop and things like that. So customers are starting to get a lot more used to mobile payments, contactless payments, online purchases. There was that segment of shops that we would talk to, and they would say, "Oh, my customers don't use text to pay. It's not going to be a thing for my customers. My customers are all, a certain segment that just, they're not into technology," and things like that. But that's a lot of that stuff it forced that change with COVID. I mean, you can buy your groceries through an app now, and you don't even have to go into the grocery store. They'll bring them out and put them in your trunk. So
Absolutely.
it's not, every industry now has had a lot of a shift to that kind of contactless. You don't have to be physically really as involved. Even in like Home Depot, I was in the other day, and they have the self checkout. They had somebody coming through after every 3 or 4 customers, spraying down the thing, wiping it off, and all that kind of stuff. So just that, that look and feel and everything makes people more comfortable.
Absolutely. And I feel like, if you think about, the cleanliness and the ease, not that this wasn't important before, but, it was just brought to the limelight. And now that people have had a taste of, you know what, yes, we should be going into businesses that are clean, that we should be going into businesses that make it easy, that get us in and out right away and get us back to what it is that we're doing. It's like they've had a taste of it. Now that this is just an expectation at this point, this isn't something that's going to revert back once they realize just how easy it can be.
Right. And that's the huge factor, that those people that were kind of holding off from, doing things through their phone, now they kind of got forced into it, and they realize, oh, I can just press 2 buttons and it's done. And so that ease of use, I think, is here to stay.
And I can't help but laugh when people say, "Oh, those aren't my customers."
Yeah.
Those might,
Right.
everybody's looking to grow, and the new customers that you want to bring on, that's how they're really basing their decisions a lot of times, because they realize they want to go to a place that not only they can trust, that they can rely on, but that really truly does make the process simple and easy for them. So, you know, we talked a little bit how people are becoming more comfortable paying by phone. And this has been something that your team has been seeing for a while, not just because of COVID, but this has been a natural progression, just with people, being attached to their phones.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, we've been doing text to pay with you guys for
Mhm.
almost 3 years now. And,
Mhm.
when we first started, it was, kind of this nice to have, some shops, adopted it, just as, with DVI, there's still shops that, don't necessarily use the full suite of DVI products and
Right.
fully communicate back and forth with pictures. But you can see the benefit of that.
Mhm.
And then when they start using the text to pay, they can see that it makes it easier, just to interact with their customers. It completes that process of getting authorization for work, texting them the invoice, saying the car's done, you can come pick it up, and oh, by the way, just click this button to pay.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's made it a lot easier, and now those shops that were kind of holding off are started using it, and I don't think anybody's going back. It's just so much easier. And we've had the shops that said, if I didn't have this, I don't know if I'd still be in business right now,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
last year, I mean, they had no other way to take payments, and
Sure.
they couldn't have people come in and you physically use the terminal. So we've had customers and people writing us testimonials and saying, this is the reason why I'm still in business, and that's a really cool feeling.
And a little bit of a side note, I was actually on a conversation, last night with a group of shop owners, and someone used a really good example of how, like a use case of this text to pay, outside of COVID. He was like, I can't tell you how great it's been because I basically have a shop that's open for longer hours. So, hey, you know what? You have someone that works really late, isn't going to make it to the shop in time. No problem. Pay right through your phone, and then we'll leave your keys in a Dropbox, which you can access, with a code, whatever it may be, and then you can come pick it up at your convenience. Like, it really does expand the hours of your shop too, because you're making it so simple for any of your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen that too, where it's making it easier for your customers to pay you.
Mhm.
That's a big factor. And
Mhm.
whether they can be at work in a meeting and
Mhm.
do a quick, like, scan their card or use Apple Pay, and
Mhm.
you're done and it's paid for. They're
Mhm.
getting payments after hours when they're closed. People it's convenient when they get home from work to just shoot a quick text and come pick it up the next day. um,
Mhm.
One of the big factors that we surveyed our customers and found out that was as kind of a surprise to me was that it streamlined the checkout process. So it kind of took that payment conversation off the table. What
Mhm.
a lot of our customers are saying is now they have time, instead of talking about, hey, how are you going to pay me for this work we just did? All they're talking about is, hey, how are your kids and how's your wife? And they're building a better relationship with that customer. And the automotive is a relationship business. There's tons of
Absolutely.
shops out there, but they're going to go to the one who they have the best relationship with.
Mhm.
So that's been a huge factor of just getting that better relationship with your customer. But then also they have time to talk about the next job. And so we
Mhm.
had a couple guys, come to us and say, listen, I've been able to book more business because all I'm doing is talking about, hey, here's all the other stuff. You've already paid for that stuff that we already did. Here's all the
Mhm.
other stuff that we think you need to get done. And here's the important things. And they're able to have more of those conversations about, these are the things you still need to do. And they're booking more jobs because of it.
Absolutely. And I think that's such a huge thing to acknowledge because the conversation does change. And, if we're going back to looking at the change behavior, having more meaningful conversations. And like you had mentioned, it's about the relationship building aspects of the customers coming into your shop and talking about things that really matter to them, not just your process and the main mundane repetitive information that needs to be said over and over because you're making it simple.
Absolutely.
So, we talked about how, not only it makes it more efficient having an integrated shop, but we're also looking, you mentioned that it increases services sold because you're spending more time on the meaningful conversations with your shop. Um, also, it's paperless, which is great. People that are looking to move to a more green solution, when it comes to everything, and then eliminating some of the excess work that needs to be done.
Absolutely. I mean, just the integration in general, whether whoever they go with for payments or for the shop management system or for whatever, they should be married. You should have an integrated solution in your shop. It's just, it makes your shop run so much smoother. It closes the loop. You're not having to run over here and then manually run over here and put it into the system after it's been paid. You're not stapling receipts everywhere. You're not keeping receipts for 7 years. Like you said, it's paperless. All that information is saved in your shop management system. The signatures are in there. It also makes your shop, look more professional when you have a customer facing terminal. You're clicking a button and the terminal's lighting up in front of the customer. They put their own credit card in, they digitally sign right on the terminal. Everything's done that way. And there's one piece of paper you're handing them with the signature, everything, all the work, the invoice, everything all on there. It just makes you look like a more professional shop to your customers.
Absolutely. Yeah. The integration part is key. And you see it across all different industries, right? When you have too many platforms that you're trying to, you know, utilize, not only does it make it a hassle for your team, there's so many different, it makes it more inefficient, but there's also so many places to almost drop the ball in many senses. So you're
Right.
reporting and what you're measuring and what you're able to go back and check to look at isn't as available if you don't have systems that are talking to one another and that are working together to make it easier for your team. So, there's so many different benefits that come back to having an integrated shop, efficiency being, a huge aspect of it, but then looking at reporting, how you're able to improve your communication, so on and so forth. Now, one
Yeah.
of the things that we did want to hit on, so with some of the, if we're talking about payments, there are concerns around fraud and chargeback and things, of that nature. And that's a reality. So, what are some of your recommendations to defend against some of those challenges?
Yeah, definitely. And right off the bat, taking a credit card, there is that risk. The
Mhm.
All customers that use a credit card are able to do a chargeback or dispute the transaction. And by, no matter who your processor is, by signing that piece of paper to say you're accepting Visa MasterCard, you're agreeing to the terms and conditions of Visa MasterCard. And one of those is they are kind of the judge and jury for chargebacks. They get to make the final decision on it. And they're very stringent. There's certain rules and things, and they don't quite they haven't adopted as fast as technology. So there's a lot of things out there that for whatever reason may not fit the chargeback standard, but it's a change of how payments are being taken. And so mobile payments, contactless payments, phone payments, it's much more apparent these days. It's just how things are being done. But there is risk of chargebacks. The only truly way to take a payment where the liability is back on the card brands is to run it as a chip. That chip transaction is really the only thing that the card brands are taking liability on anymore. But there's ways to make sure you're protecting your shop and just being smart about how you're running payments. Text to pay has been a huge benefit for shops, but you got to be smart about it. Some of the things we suggest is, set a limit. If somebody comes in and it's a $6,000 or $10,000 job, have them run it through a chip card. Make them come in to actually physically run that payment. If it's a brand new customer, if it's somebody that you've never worked with before and they just came in off the street, and again, if it's a $1,000 job, have them run it through that chip card. If it's a known customer, you've had them for 10 years, they've been, it's probably a lot less risk, and
You better hope that they're doing right by you.
right, exactly. So those types of things, and really, we a lot of times when we talk to shops and they, we have a whole chargeback team that works with our shops if they have issues and helps them through the process. But a lot of times they say, oh yeah, I thought that was going to be an issue, or I got a bad feeling about that person. Trust your gut. Like that's the biggest thing too, is if there's any sort of like inkling that something's going on, or you just don't get a good feeling about it, trust that and kind of, shy away and make them come in and run the chip card. But the biggest thing too is, like I said, even if you lose a chargeback, you still have a chance to get that money back. You can still take them to small claims court. So we always suggest getting as much detail as possible, writing a narrative when you send in the information for a chargeback, and really being able to present everything you can. But getting the digital signatures on, like you guys do with the text to pay, getting them on the invoice, getting signatures for authorization of work, getting all of that information, checking the card to the name. There's a lot of things that the shop can do to really protect themselves. So even if for whatever reason they lose the chargeback, they can always use all that information that they've gathered to take that customer to small claims court if it's worth it for them. So those are some of the things that we suggest shops doing.
No, and I think that's always great to acknowledge, because as you said, this is a reality. It is something that can happen. So if your shop is able to be prepared to protect yourself, here are the best practices. Here are the steps that need to be move forward with in order to make sure that your shop is well taken care of. So Jesse, I appreciate all of the time chatting with us today. I think our shops are really going to be able to take a lot away from just learning how important an integrated shop is, not only within a COVID environment, but now the clear expectations that customers will have now that they've had a taste of this, whether it be with your business or with businesses outside of the automotive industry, where they see how easy these things are. So I appreciate all of your time today and for joining us.
Yeah, totally appreciate you having us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We will be back in 3 weeks with a brand new episode of Automotivated. As always, let us know your experiences with bolt-on and text to pay. We see Scott Felser has been using 360 payments for over 2 years now and has been with bolt-on for about 6 or 7 years, and absolutely loves the features. He said it's been a great help for his shop and they would love to recommend it. So we want to hear your experience as well. But until next time, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Thanks again, Jesse.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.